this tutorial, we're going to cover a new feature in ACM called ACM Verify. Let's take a look at it. So what is ACM Verify? ACM Verify is a virtual keypad reader that we call virtual station. So imagine having a keypad reader where you can punch a PIN number. This technology will work exactly the same way, with the exception that requires no wires. So it's all virtual in any computer, laptop, smartphone, tablet, any device that you can have one of the browsers that we have approved. So with that, you can track people, their movement between areas, and also the virtual stations can be configured to perform many different tasks, not only tracking people between areas, but also I can initiate lockdowns, I can do all sorts of different applications. We'll cover that more in just a couple of slides. Another interesting point about that is there is no application to be installed, so it's not an app that you need to download. It's just part of the ACM application. So let's take a look in how we can utilize or where the ACM Verify can be utilized. One of the applications that comes in front or that comes always to mind is the mustering capability. So you could have ACM Verify in the hands of your first responder team or someone that is in charge of tracking who's in the safe zone on the mustering point. So in case of an emergency, that person will go to that area usually is in a parking lot, where they'll pull up their phone, pull up their tablet, log into the ACM Verify, and now as employees come into that area, they can go and just punch their PIN number, and now you move them from any area inside of the building to the safe zone. The advantage with that is your first responders team could have exactly the same application and keep track on real time who's in and out of the building, so they can go and track who's still there and why, and they can go up after that. So that's one of the applications. We want to leave clear that this is not the only application that this new technology, the ACM Verify, can be utilized. The technology in itself is very broad, so it can be used for many different applications. So keep in mind that what we're about to show you here, the next couple of slides, is some of the ideas that we have in how we can utilize this technology. But again, it is a very broad, it's very easy to configure this technology to do many other applications. So let's take a look at another one. So keep in mind, again, this could be utilized in many different applications. So this one here is conference rooms. So let's say, for example, that you have conference rooms and you want to keep a track who's in those conference rooms, and maybe just in this case, you don't have readers at the conference rooms doors. So you could have a tablet right there inside of that conference room already logged into ACM Verify, and as employees come into that meeting, they can just go and punch the code, and now you can keep track of who is in that meeting or who has been at that meeting and run reports and find out who participated in the meeting. And that could be in your office, or maybe you having meetings or any other type of activity off-site, where obviously you won't have a reader present in that location. Then ACM Verify would be a good technology to allow you to track who participated of that event. Okay. Switching gears a little bit, some of the schools and in the education sector. For schools, this will also be an interesting technology that would allow school administrators to track who's in what bus at any given time. So as the students leave the building and go into the bus, they can get in the bus, punch their PIN code in that tablet or smartphone held by the driver or right there in the bus itself, and now you know that that student is no longer in that classroom but in that bus. As they leave the bus, you could do the same thing as in and out readers. You could have the situation where the bus driver now changes that reader to be an out reader. So now you leave in the bus, you're done for the day, they're no longer in that bus. So now, again, school officials can track what time students are coming in and leaving that area or that school. For field trips, same application. Teachers now with that handheld, with that their smartphone, they can track their students. No need for paper and calling students who's in and who's out, who's in a bus, who's not, or who's supposed to be or not. They can just go in and get every student to punch their PIN number, and now they know when the students came in and out of the bus for those field trips. Another application that we could utilize this, imagine a company cafeteria, and you want to track which employees are using the cafeteria for lunch, dinner, whatever that is, for billing purposes, or maybe just for analysis. You want to know what is the peak hours so you can staff properly, or they can start to prepare the cafeteria in a proper way to attend the volume of employees at any given time. So those are some of the applications. And let me cover with you in this next slide some other ideas that we can be utilizing this ACM Verify. So imagine emergency lockdown. So I could have a special PIN number that when that PIN number is entered in either any of the virtual stations or a particular one, you can decide which way, how you want to do this. You could now go and throw the entire system in a lockdown, or partially, or just in this building, or just in this area. Whatever that is just tied into a PIN number on a virtual keypad. So that gives a lot of freedom for you to manipulate the system. You don't necessarily, you could be in a safe zone where necessarily you don't have a reader close by. You can pull up your phone, logging into that virtual station, and just punch the emergency PIN number, and now the lockdown is initiated. Another application for gates where you don't necessarily have a reader, so bus drivers or truck drivers with the ACM Verify could punch in their PIN number, opening that gate and also logging them in into that facility. So now you're tracking what time they came in, what time they left the facility, and give you a better track what's happening with your drivers. I want to turn lights on a parking lot. That's another application, is inputs and outputs. As long as I can control those, I can have a PIN number that one presented to one of the virtual stations, or any of the virtual stations. You can decide on that. I can turn on and turn off lights on a parking lot. I can open doors and close doors, open areas, whatever that is that I'm doing is inputs and outputs, so I can go and control those. Also, I can log employees in particular areas for maybe in a remote job site. So I have people working off-site, and I want to track when they come in and when they leave. I could have a virtual station right there where they are. Again, no need to install a physical reader or physical controller. Will be a great way for you to track which employees are in that particular location. You can always run reports on those, and allow you to understand a little bit more where movement of people in your organization. So once again, I want to emphasize that ACM Verify, although we utilize the mustering example as a simple example because everybody understands how that works, it's much more than that. As you can see here, we can apply this to many different applications. Okay, so let's take a look now in some of the important notes before we go and jump into a demo. So ACM Verify requires that you have ACM Professional or Enterprise version starting in version 5.10.2. As always, we always suggest back up your system before you do any upgrade or you apply any new license. So as we said, starting in version 5.10.2, all standard professional enterprise systems will have one free virtual station. So all the systems will come with that. If you're running a earlier version than that, you would just have to upgrade to this version 5.10.2 or above, and then your system will automatically have one free virtual station. If you require more than one virtual station, then what you could do is purchase a license for bundles of 5 or 16 virtual stations. So let's say, for example, that you purchase a license for 5 virtual stations. You will end up with a total of 6. So one that you already have in the system plus the 5 that you just purchased. Now you have 6 virtual stations. Okay, let's take a look in some of the prerequisites, and this is pretty easy one. So once again, need to be running at least version 5.10.2 or later. The license, once again, will come in with the system. One free virtual station in any professional or enterprise system, professional or enterprise, and be logged in with a admin account to at least do the initial configuration. So we're gonna go ahead now and switch to the live system where we're going to configure the application and show you how that looks like. Okay, now that I'm logged in into ACM, this is version 5.10.2. So once again, by default, you will have at least one virtual station. In my case here, I have a license that gives me more than, I have a few virtual stations that we can work with. So first thing you need to do to start to create those virtual stations is you need to go up here into Appliance and make sure that under Access, right over here in Access, that you have ACM now as a new version, is a new vendor of hardware. In this case, you want to make sure that it's checked and then save. Okay, once you have that completed, then the next step is to now go really and create your virtual keypads. To do that, you're gonna go into Physical Access and Doors. So different from other hardwares, right, where you would first create a panel and then you go and create the doors under that panel. For the virtual stations, you just go straight to the doors and we're gonna go and create a new one. So let's go ahead and do that. So click on Doors. All your doors will come up. If you're new to this version, this is a new format where you can see all your readers. I'm gonna go ahead down here at the bottom and click in Add Door. So this will be a new door. And I'm gonna call this door Master Virtual Station. Okay. You can enter an alternative name if you want. This is just to give you a reference what this is regarding to. So this one, for example, could be North parking lot, for example, or any other name you want to call it. And then here's the trick where you go here to the vendor, and this is where you're gonna go and select a Vigilon. So you have Mercury as you used before, HID hardware, this is physical hardware, and then logical hardware is right there, a Vigilon. So you click on that, this will give you these other options. So right now, station type, that's the only option we have there. So stay tuned, we'll have some different things later on in the incoming release. So for now, ACM Verify. I'll cover in a little bit how this works. I think it's easy if I show you. Once we have it configured, you will see how this operates. This is your time zone. So your virtual station could be anywhere in the world, and you could just go here and select which area in the world that virtual station is and how it's being operated. Okay. Into the area. So this is where I'm going to go now and select my master area, right? So if you haven't created your areas, so then you would first go here and create the areas. I'm gonna have, let's say, for example, office, production line, conference rooms. You can name it the conference rooms, master areas. If you have more than one, I will just create them and give them different names. And then once you have them created, they will display, they will show up in this list. Okay, so in this case, I already have them pre-configured. I'm just gonna go ahead and select master. And for now, I'm going to use login. I'll show you what paired means later once we have this configured. So go ahead and click that, and then we'll go ahead and hit save. That's it. That's how you create your virtual station. So we created the first one. So to access the virtual station, you go right to this link. Okay. Now the virtual, and we'll cover this in just a little bit. So now that we have created that virtual station, I'm gonna go ahead and add this virtual station to a row. So now when I enter a PIN number, that will be a valid PIN, and it will move people to that particular virtual station or do any other type of application I want. So I'm gonna go ahead and go here to rows. I'm gonna go to my access groups. I have a 24/7 access group which I'm gonna go ahead and add this new virtual station. So it's right there, I just created, so is the one available to be added with the rest of all my other readers, right? So these are physical readers, and this is my logical reader, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and add that in there. Just hit save. And now I'm gonna go back to my muster virtual station, which is right here. One of the tricks in this screen, if you just want to see what is online, you can always go here and say check normal, hit apply, and now this is just going to show me the stations, on this case just my 2 virtual stations that are on. All my other hardware is turned off, so that's why they're showing up in red, they're not communicating. So now that I have that, I can click here to actually launch the virtual station. So up to this point, all we've done is creating the configuration. So you create, we just created the station itself. We created that virtual reader itself. So now that it's created, well, how do I access that reader, right? So here's how it is. You click in this link. So if you're using your mobile device, the first step you're going to do is logging in the application normally like you would do login into any computer or any computer, laptop, desktop, whatever you're using. Log into ACM. Then you're going to go to physical access or doors, and then go to the mustering station and click in this link. Once you click in there, this is going to launch. I'm going to go ahead and launch this in a different tab so we can take a look at it. It's going to launch the ACM Verify, and this is how the ACM Verify looks. It's very easy, very simple looking, and the page is mobile friendly. So once I log in using my mobile device, you're going to see that that application in the mobile device. So once I log in into my mobile device, I'm going to go ahead and bookmark. I'll bookmark. So I'll log in into my application, go to the door, click in that link to access this mustering. That brings me to this screen, and that's the screen that I'm going to bookmark in my mobile device. So now when I log in into my mobile device, I'm going to show you here right now, I can go in there and have, so here's my mobile device. I already have configured my ACM Verify in there. So I just click on that link. That brings me to the page. I'm going to go ahead and log it in. I have that already configured. Once you log it in, that'll bring you to the virtual station. So I have 2 virtual stations. This option right here will enable the menu of the virtual station, so you can now go and do other things. And he's pairing. We're going to talk about this in just a little bit. So let's go back to the virtual station. I'm going to go ahead and select muster. And now if I click inside the box there, the keyboard comes up, and I'm going to go ahead and click and enter just one of my codes. So 1111, just a simple code. So once you enter the code, I can go up to 8 digits. I just chose 4 as easier, simpler just to do this demonstration. You can have PIN codes up to 8 digits. Okay, so once you enter your PIN code, go ahead and hit submit. And what that's going to do is bring that picture of the person who entered their PIN number. So in case of for example, a mustering situation, I could be, or the person could be the person responsible for checking who's arriving at that mustering station. It will pull up his phone, come into this application to the ACM Verify, leave that up there. As employees will come in, they'll come in, punch their code, and now the first responder, the person in charge that can verify, say, yeah, that's you. I'm going to go ahead now and hit OK. And once you do that, you're getting a identity grant for a couple of seconds. So this is pretty quickly tells you that that person is there. And also, if you click in this area here, it says identity verified. This will show you every single person that is logged in that area right now. Okay, so we can go back, just clicking that button there, and now I can go in and type another person. And this is my other PIN number for this other user. He comes in, so Minnie Mouse now is going from the office. So she's currently logging in to the office area, and this is the last time she logged in that area today. And now once I press OK here, she's going to be moved to the muster area. So this is how you read the screen. So this is the area, and this is the area that she's coming from. So I'm gonna go ahead and click that OK. And now notice the number here is gonna increase from 7 to 8. So once again, if I click in this area, I'm gonna go and see who is over there right now. So here's Mickey, and now Minnie Mouse is right over here. Okay? Click in this icon here, and you go back to the station. You don't need to be going back and forth. So if you have users that are, people are gathering and they're coming in and putting their PIN numbers, all you have to do is just keep on this screen, and as each user come in and present their PIN number, you can verify, see, yep, that's the right person. You click OK, and then you move on. Okay, so that's how the ACM Verify looks in a mobile device. So I'm gonna push this aside a little bit, and I'm gonna go back into ACM and show you a couple of other things. So I said something that I would want to show you how this works. This managed and unmanaged. So right now this is checked to be managed. So unmanaged means when I punch my PIN number in my mobile device, I won't have that confirmation screen. It's just gonna go in and add me that. As long as I enter a valid PIN number, it will add me, or it would add me to that area very quickly. So I'm gonna go ahead and click here, unmanaged, hit save. All right, now I'm gonna bring the virtual keypad back up, and I'm gonna have someone typing another PIN number. So we're gonna go 3333. How original, huh? And notice now when I hit submit here, so I'm doing this on my phone, right? This is just a phone emulator. So once I hit here with my finger to my phone, notice that now is gonna go and just add the person. It's gonna come back saying added. We didn't even see what person that was. So for situations where you want that to fluid faster, that would be an option, is just to check this unmanaged. Otherwise, you leave that in managed, and then using managed, when I enter my PIN number in here and hit submit, you now get a confirmation screen with the picture of that person, what area that person came from, and then which area that person is going to, in this case, the mustering. I click OK, confirm that, and now that person will it will go to that area, so it's the 10th person in that particular area. Okay? Now, notice that all we did here in this case was that we just logged into the page and went to that virtual station here, right? And that brought us to this screen here in my cell phone, right? In my mobile phone. Another option would be here is to create a station authentication called Parrot. So we can now go here and say Parrot, and what this will do, I can click save, and now what I can do with this is actually add a pairing device. What this will allow you to do is just for that particular phone, that particular tablet, or even particular computer to access this station. That will be the only one, or the list of available items in here, as long as they belong to the members, those will be the individuals or the smartphones or the tablets allowed to access this station. You can either leave, once again, you can leave that in login, where as long as you have a valid login name in ACM, you will be able to access the virtual station, or you can pair it and now create a pairing and let only that particular device to access. So let's go ahead and show you how that works. So you would first set to pair it, save it, then you would go right over here, it says add pair device, click on that, and I'm gonna go ahead and say my iPhone. So I would specify the name of the individual here probably, and then I'll go ahead and hit this generate PIN. This will generate a PIN number that is good for the next 10 minutes. So when you're doing this, you want to make sure that the person that is going to be pairing is already logged in the application, like you've seen here, is already in the application, and I can come and click in this, go back to the main menu, click in the station right there, and hit pair device. Okay, so I'm gonna push this to the side so I can read the code number right there. Go ahead and click in pair. I need to enter the same name in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and type my iPhone, and then the code is 2816. And then go ahead and click on that item there. I don't want to save the password. So now this is paired and it's showing here, okay, I'm paired. I now can go ahead and click save. So it's paired, ready to go. So click on that. And once you do that, now that new paired device shows up in the available list. I can go in now and move it to my members. Notice I'm going to go ahead and show you something here in my mobile phone. If I look in my phone right now, the only station that I see here, the only virtual station is Office. So this is one that I already have created before. And the reason for that is because I now have Muster set to be paired and I'm not part of that pairing. So I'm going to go ahead and move this from available to members. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And then I just refreshed also in my phone and now notice that now I have access to that station. Okay, so just because I belong to that. That's how the pairing is done. The other area that you can go and also create your pairings first, or you can go and create that in the system first, is right over here. So even before I configure the virtual station, I could go in pair device and just start to creating the pairing for all devices that I need. And then they will show up in this list here in available. And then I could go and pair with whatever Muster or whatever virtual station I want them to be paired with. Okay. So I'm going to click once again that Muster virtual keypad right there. And I'm going to show you a quick example how this would be utilized. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my maps. I'm going to open this in a new link so we can always come back. So that's another good idea. Whenever I'm doing these types of applications, I always open different tabs because it's easier for me to navigate. It's much faster. So here's my doors, there's my maps, and in the other area that I go in, it will show up the name right there in front so you know where you're going. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this one here. And this would be, let's say my first responders team would have this type of map. So notice that, so this is the plant of my facility. I have an office, I have a factory plant, I have a laboratory, and that's outside right there on the end of the parking lot is my Muster area, right? So very, very easy visual representation of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring my device up here again, my mobile device. You see the numbers. I'm gonna go ahead and type in 5555. I think that person is not in the mustering area yet. I'll go ahead and hit submit. And that's gonna bring the person in. So is that the right person? Daisy Do, yes it is. I'm gonna go ahead and click OK, and now you should see the number here increasing. So now that person left the lab, is in the safe zone now. Okay, so that's how this would work. So if you have multiple areas with just a simple dashboard like this, I can in real time control how this application would work or who's in what area at any given time. So if I'm a first responder team, I can always go back either here or looking at in my virtual keypads, right? I can always go here, for example, in the office. Office has no one now, but I would be able to click there and see what person or who's in that area at this moment and go and search for that person, right? Or search for that individuals, okay? Same would go for any other areas. All I have to do is just create virtual stations for each one of those areas. Okay, you can or not, it depends on how you want to handle the system. I might in this case just have one virtual station here where when employees getting to that parking lot again, right? I can go and just log them all in there, and that makes it a little bit easier, right? So for me to monitor who's in what area. Okay, very well. So let's try to do something. I'm going to push this aside one more time. Let's do something a little bit different now. I want to create a new virtual keypad that's not going to be tied into any area and is just going to be used to do lockdowns. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and initiate that. I'm going to start that in here. So let's take a look at that. All right, now next step is we are going to create a new virtual station. So this virtual station, different from the one that we just created, the mastering one, will not be attached to any area. Because for this particular one, what we want to do is utilize the virtual station to trigger lockdown in our system. Okay, so let's go ahead and go here to add doors. I'm gonna call this emergency virtual station. I'm gonna go down here and select a Vigilon. I could have that, once again, right? I could have that paired to a particular individual, particular device, or in this case, I'm just gonna leave and log in. It's just easier. It's gonna show up in my phone, and then we can go and just configure that, right? So click save. Look how simple it is, right? I just add very minimum data. One of the things that I didn't mention, I guess, is a good time to mention that I could link that to cameras. So if you enter a PIN number in a particular area and I do have a camera that is pointing to that, I could have a camera being tagged using our ACC system, our video surveillance system. Events, also, I could generate alarms based on events or generate actions based on events. So if you punch a PIN number that is wrong or is invalid PIN number, we could have in a way that the system would now generate an alarm and execute an action that you pre-programmed. So there's a bunch of options around this functionality. So, all right, I have my ACM Verify here. I'm gonna leave that as managed, and I am not logging that to any, or not adding that to any area. So I'm just gonna leave like that. Hit save. And now I'm gonna go back to my access groups, and I'm gonna add this new virtual station into my 24 hours access group. So there it is. I'm just gonna go ahead and add that and save it. And here's what I'm gonna do. We're going to create now an action that whenever I type a particular PIN number in this emergency virtual station, it will trigger the system into a lockdown mode. So let's go ahead and do that. So first thing I'm gonna do is go into global actions, and I am going to create a new action called, let's call it global lockdown. This will be a door mode change, and I'm gonna go to disable, and I'm just gonna go ahead and pick all my readers and add that in there. Okay, just hit OK. Keep in mind that when you're doing global actions, I've created an action to set the system into lockdown. You want to create now the opposite of that, global restore. Okay, so that will bring everything back to normal. So once again, is door mode. By default, it's gonna pop up here as restore. That's exactly what I want. I'm just gonna go ahead, pick the first reader, hold shift in my keyboard, hit the bottom one, highlight everything, move them over, and save. Those are the two actions. Pretty easy. Now I'm gonna go and create a global linkage that says whenever I present this particular PIN number in this particular virtual station, it will initiate the lockdown or will initiate the restore process. So we're gonna go here to global linkages, and I'm gonna go and click global linkage, and I'm gonna call this global lockdown. Obviously, you can call this anything you want. This function will perform in 24 hours active, so it can be performed anytime, any day. So I'm gonna go ahead and click save. This will start the global linkage. So now I'm gonna go ahead and select device. So you have 4 tabs in here. There's the 4 equivalent down over here. So notice that right now there's no configuration there. So we're gonna move from tab to tab and configure this. So let's go ahead and start with the device. So now I'm gonna pick where am I going to launch this from. So I'm gonna put door, and now I'm gonna go and select that emergency virtual station. And that's the only one that I'm going to select. Click save. And now I'm gonna go to the event, so that's configured now. I'm gonna go to the events tab and now pick the event. In this case, it will be a local grant. Okay, local grant. Click save. And now I'm gonna select the token. In this case, is a PIN number. So I already created a token, and I'm gonna go ahead and call this one 4321. Do a search. So I just entered the credential number. So here it is. I already called. I have this user called lockdown. It's just to illustrate how we can do those kind of things, right? So click on that, hit save, and now that I have that, I'm gonna go ahead and click the action. So the action is now the global lockdown right there. That's it. If I want to email the first responders team, that would be my email. So I already have an email pre-configured with the email addresses of the first responders team, then that would just add that. Whatever other action I want to add, I would just have to add them into this list. So once I run that global linkage, whatever actions are in here, they'll be executed. So let's read this out. Let's see how this looks like. So if I get a local grant from this card here, from this token, in this reader, I wanted to execute this global action. That's how this reads out. Okay? Now let's create the opposite of that. So I'm going to create, there's some other ways of doing this. I'm going to do it in a very simple way just to illustrate the point how we do this. I'm going to go and click in global linkages again and create another linkage. And this one is going to be the global restore. Okay? Hit save. Same principle. I'm just going to use a different PIN number in this case just to restore the system. So I'm going to go ahead and select device, then go pick door. I'm going to select that exactly same virtual station, hit save, and then the action is going to be the same one. I mean, the event is going to be the same one is local grant, and then token. What is the PIN number, is the credential? In this case, I have already created one, and the PIN number is 1234, or the credential number. So I named the inbox credential and the PIN number the same thing. So it's easier for me in demonstrations to remember and to know how that works. So here it is, and even the name of the person is restored. So it's just again, just to illustrate the point and how this can be configured, right? It could be an individual, could be a group of individuals, right? So you can select them in here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And now all I have to do is pick up the action, right? So go to the actions tab. And now let's go ahead and select global restore and click save. So let's read this out. So how this looks like. So when I get a local grant by this credential here in this reader, the system will execute this action called global restore, which brings my readers all back to normal operation. All my doors back to normal. Okay? Very well. So let's go ahead and run that. I'm going to bring that up in my phone, and we can see that in here. So here's my phone. I'm going to go ahead and click here in my phone to go back. Oh, he's asking me to log in again because I turned off my phone. So it do have some security features attached to it, even if you're in login mode. Okay? So you need a valid login name into this. So I'm gonna go ahead and select this one, emergency virtual station. Notice that it says there, no area specified. In this ones you can see the areas, but that's fine. I don't need an area for that one because I'm using for a different purpose, right? So here it is. Now, here's what I'm gonna do. Let me push this aside just for a second. I'm going to move here to all my doors. Yeah, let's do this. I'm just gonna go ahead and here in doors. And I'm going to select, just to make it easier for us to visualize, just the doors that are at this moment are running. So I have a bunch of doors that are running. You can see their state right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring the reader back up. Let's put it here at the corner on this side so we can see everything. So now I'm gonna go ahead and enter a PIN number. In this case, my lockdown PIN number is 4321. Hit submit. I even add an image to remind me, okay, this is the lockdown command. So the lockdown PIN number, perfect. Hit OK. And when you do that, now all your doors are disabled, with the exception of the virtual stations, because obviously you cannot disable them. They are virtual. The ones that you see here, unknown, are the virtual stations. Okay, so now the doors are disabled. So you just basically we just did a virtual lockdown. So we locked the entire system using a virtual keypad. So let's go ahead now and bring the system back up. So now we got to use that other PIN number. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Hit submit. Keep in mind, I'm using 2 separate PIN numbers just for this demonstration purpose, just to make simple, just to show you how simple it is. There is other options that you can go and create, maybe just using one and doing a toggle. And there is other ways of locking an entire system down, or for that matter of fact, use this same technology to run some of the other things that we already talked about in this presentation, right? So I want to turn on the lights in a parking lot. I want to lift that arm in the gate in the front entrance with the right pin. So all those are programmable in our system. So here it is. We have the restore command right there, or the restore picture saying, yeah, this is the restore PIN number. I'm going to go ahead and validate, click on that. And now they should all go back. So granted, and here they are. They all went back to its normal operation. And that's how simple it is to configure and operate the ACM Verify.